I'm actually became an entrepreneur because I'm here to create a movement that's going to change this planet. And in that comes the first truth, is that I'm not for everyone. That truth freed me. And I can't even describe how free I felt when I realized that. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast, where practical spirituality meets real life. Hi, I'm your host, Sheetal Story. I'm a psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, and a human design reader, and of course, a law of attraction master coach. With my unique blend of spiritual and practical tools, I am here to help you align with your soul-led purpose and ignite a life that sets your soul on fire. In this podcast, we are going to explore the principles of energy, astrology, spirituality, and psychology to help you heal your grief and create an aligned life and business from the inside out. Whether you are looking to deepen your intuition, understand your cosmic design, or transform your business, this podcast is for you. Join me each week for insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories that will guide you on your journey to living your very best life. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on Instagram at Sheetal Story or wherever you listen to this podcast. Let's dive in and start this transformative journey together. Welcome to the Story of Spirit podcast. Today, I want to share with you something that actually came up on my heart as I was doing my social media. And these truths kind of just surfaced so effortlessly into my mind. And that's why I label this the 5 truths that freed me as an entrepreneur. But really, it's freed me as a woman, I think, and because of my journey as a business owner now, for those of you who don't know, I started reading for people back when my son was born. And that was about 15 years ago, almost 16 years ago. So at that point in time, I was still honing my gifts and learning about my psychic abilities, my mediumship abilities. I started to take up the tarot. I started to take up astrology. And then people started to ask me to help them, to read for them. I didn't feel like I was ready. That's kind of a lesson, is start before you're ready, I guess. But I had to feel like I was knowledgeable enough, that I could hold space and not screw it up. I never took it for granted how important this space is, because I am helping people who are going through tough times. No one sees me when life is good. Everyone sees me when things are hard. And I mean, if you've been listening to my podcast, you'll know that this is something that I've kind of been my journey ever since I was little, that like I like to help people that are going through hard times. And I was often called the bad weather friend, because when things were tough, you'd come find me. I'd help you feel better, get you a perspective that would change your life, and then off you'd go, and I wouldn't see people again. So healing the sisterhood wound was a thing that continues on, and I just recorded a podcast about that. But today, I really wanted to really talk about what freed me, because in this moment in time, and this may shift, in years from now, but in this moment in time, I feel very free. And I think this is when a woman is the most potent, the most maybe dangerous, or maybe the most empowered, is when she's free, when she feels that she can be herself no matter who is watching. And that truth has changed my life. It's changed my relationships. It's changed the spaces that I'm in. It changes the opportunities that come my way, because I'm really ready to be seen on a larger stage. I'm really excited to be all of myself in every space that I'm in. And I'm really not worried about what people think of me. Like I'm done with that aspect of things. Micromanaging other people's expectations, that I just get to show up and call in the people that are ready, the women that are ready for their up level, for their next level of evolution. So I can support them. Right. And if you're not ready, you're probably going to be repelled by me. True story. I was recently at a conference, and I had noticed 2 women specifically who were kind of, eyeing me, or I knew that they were either trying to get close, or they wanted to come and approach me. And every time they tried, there was other people that would just come in and sort of either step in between us, or just be a little bit more forthright, or more forward, in trying to get my attention or coming to talk to me, which I love. I welcome that wholeheartedly. And I just thought it was quite interesting that these two ladies, and they're very high powered women, kept kind of stepping back a bit, just not really, just the timing never aligned. And I always sometimes think like that's either the universe, intervening to protect me. They're not ready for the Sheetal magic yet, or that there will be another time, that this is not the right timing. So I'm always just interested and intrigued, because if I try to interject and try to reach out to them or step into them, that never works out. So it's me listening to right timing is allowing people to come to me. Of course, if there's someone that's calling to me, then I'll reach out to them on social media, or like I saw this amazing woman from across the room, her red hair, her sweet smile, her energy, and I really, really, really wanted to reach out to her, to see her. But every time I kind of was making my way that way, somebody would come and talk to me. And again, wonderful problem to have, not a problem at all. It's super abundant. And then this lovely lady put in the conference kind of Facebook group, that she was doing this project, and I just got this really big nudge to reach out and support the project. And then I got to meet her, and she's fantastic. She's a most amazing lady on her own journey of becoming. And that was like, again, felt so aligned. So timing is always organizing us, And I think in entrepreneurship or in anything in life, and I want you to hear, even if you're not an entrepreneur, that you're going to hear yourself in my story for anything that you're doing, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, you have a job, you have a career, you're a professional, you have your business. No matter where it is, these truths are universal because they set me free, and they can set you free too, in that you can apply them into your life and just see for yourself what makes you feel more yourself, what makes you feel more alive. But entrepreneurship is really the fast track to personal development. I heard an old coach mention to me that it's the path to enlightenment. I don't know if it's necessarily a path to enlightenment, but if you take it as such, it can be the path to personal development, because your business reflects you. And when it reflects you, you can see the good, bad, and the ugly, right? What is working for you, what's not. I just had a conversation in the DMs with a wonderful entrepreneur who's very, very talented, but she keeps calling in struggle. And so I just sent her a very poignant question. We've been in mastermind groups before, so, it's not like I'm just blasting her with this question, but I said, is there a part of you that believes that success can be easy? That was the question. And she responded with a whole bunch of feelings about that question. And definitely there's something there about working hard for money, having to earn your keep, something. There's something there. So, I mean, I asked her to chat GPT it and see if she could come to the bottom of that, because that belief continues to create struggle in her life, and it just can never be easy. And I know that this is an internal block that continues to mirror back to her in her life. So our businesses will reflect that. And you know what? Your career does that too. As an entrepreneur, as a stay at home mom, your friendships reflect that back to you. Because if you are in a meat suit, if you are breathing, if you are still on this planet, you are here to learn life lessons. And they are always being reflected back to you. You just have to be aware of it. And if you're not aware of it, you're gonna get mad at the mirror, right? You're gonna be like, these ladies, coming in, these bees, why, get out of here, and it's actually what part of me is calling in these bees, like, why am I'm calling in these energy vampires, or why am I calling in relationships that are not reciprocal? It's because I believe I have to give all the time, and receiving is not fun, easeful, safe for me. And so now I create these lopsided relationships. And if you want something more, you've got to change that. You've got to change the way that you're calling in these relationships. You've got to be willing to receive, to say yes, and not be the one that's always, always giving, right? So, same thing with this beautiful entrepreneur. She has an opportunity now to really heal that belief that success has to come with a cost, or success has to be hard, or I have to work hard for my money. That's actually not true. You can work smarter, not harder. You can create systems. You can call in aligned clients that are willing to pay in full. You can call in ease, maybe money dropping in out of nowhere where you get this like kickback from the government, or all of a sudden you discover that you overpaid your taxes. Like, money can come in to you with ease. And if you have another belief around that, I want to do a money trauma course. I have a money trauma course that I've done, and I am going to put it on the books for 2026 because I think it is so important. Money in the hands of women changes this planet, and the more we can heal those money trauma pieces, I'm still working on them. I don't have it all figured out, but I've invested so much time and money in people that have helped me see these parts of myself that are it's amazing. I would never have known this had I not paid for all these things. And I like to put that all together so I can help other people as well. So just make it easy because, healing can be easy. So, entrepreneurship has really taught me a lot. And I also realize that the universe has been prepping me for this role for a long time. You look back, I just had brunch with two of my girlfriends who are also entrepreneurs. And I had said to her, she just graduated from another certification. She's really just doing so well, my one of my girlfriends. And I said, when you look back now, you can see every job, every gift that you have, everything has led you to this moment. Like, not one piece is wasted. And she looked at me, she's like, you're so right. Like, it's wild. Like, every job, every skill set, she's putting on workshops, but she had to do workshops in her job that she might not have necessarily loved. But now the workshop she's doing in her current, like, coaching business, hypnotherapy business, she is killing it, killing it. And because she's had the chops to do so, because of her previous job, she understands how to make it successful. I feel like that myself. Like, I remember the first psychic fair I went to because I used to do trade shows with my jobs, right, in sales and marketing, and had to be super organized with all my point of sale materials, all the pieces of paper that has all the information. We call it POS. And then we'd have samples, and we'd have displays, and we'd have pictures, and we'd organize our booths. And there was a lot to do. And so when I did my first psychic fair, I had my little red wagon. I had my Rubbermaid bin with all my stuff in it. I had my information sheets if anyone wanted to book with me. Like, I had my business cards. I had everything organized, little holders for everything. My table spotless, right? Everything was laid out in a certain way. And I also gave out red roses that I tied my business card to with red ribbon, so that every reading I had, I would give them a rose, I would give them a hug, and they'd be walking around the fairgrounds, the psychic fair, with these roses, and people be like, "Where'd you get the rose? Where'd you get that? Who's this lady?" And you're like, "Oh, this lady's over there, and she's booked up for today. Maybe go and see her tomorrow." Right? So it was awesome, awesome marketing. But it came from the jobs that I did, and I was super organized. Even working from home, I've worked from home for the last 14 years before I became an full-time entrepreneur in 2020. And I had sales and marketing jobs where I'd be on the road, I'd have a big sales territory. I had to organize my time and my sales calls and my metrics, and to hit all of my goals and to get my bonus. And so working from home was super easy. And I'm also very dedicated and very committed to schedule. I'd wake up in the morning, do my makeup, hop online, get my calls logged, go pick up all my samples and portion them at our storage unit, and then drop them off at my client, customer calls and stuff all day, then come back and log them, send emails, do all the things I had to do on my computer, and end the day. So I really had this like dialed in, that I didn't just start being an entrepreneur and being like, okay, I guess I got to create my life now. Like, actually, I had all of these skill sets from before I became an entrepreneur to become a very masterful entrepreneur, with the way my stuff is set up, the way I catalog my client files, the way I log my client files in each call that I have with my coaching clients and grief counseling clients. So I have a system in place, and it's very organized because of my previous roles, right? So everything has led me to this. And it's interesting because I actually was very resistant to having a business. My parents each had businesses, and they were never home. They were always, it ran them into the ground. And then my best friend growing up also was a nominated makeup artist, and she was contract work. And I was just like, how do you do it not knowing when your money is coming in? And she's like, it always works out. I was like, nope, Not for me. I'll never be an entrepreneur. Never say never, right? Because it is it was lined up for me, but I actually saw all these examples of things I didn't want. But really, stepping into my purpose really demanded of that of me courage, and leaving behind people pleasing to just step into and do this work. Because this path is not an easy one. There's no book of entrepreneurship that says if you do this, then you'll be successful. You got to do this and do this and do this. Like, truly, I'm a trailblazer. There's no one else who is a first generation Canadian psychic medium, grief support counselor, professional astrologer, human design business coach. Like, there is nobody. And I was meant to be that someone. So, entrepreneurship path really takes us on this journey of healing and growth, and we have to align with safety, otherwise nothing gets done. And so creating path to safety is like a fundamental truth in my business coaching, because you cannot be successful if you are not safe with success, with money, with prosperity. And I continue to see these amazing, talented entrepreneurs, practitioners, healers cycle in lack because they are not investing in themselves in a way that's actually going to move the needle. I see a lot of these investment pieces. This is a bonus. This isn't one of the truths that I kind of brainstorm, but it's coming to me now. And it's the truth of investing in myself. It freed me. It really freed me, because that investing in self, it wasn't for, I mean, I did invest in the strategies and tools and tactics and all this stuff. And I've got a ton of courses on like list building and funnels and memberships and all the things. And I've grown through all of those things, because even what they teach you sometimes isn't really quite aligned to the way that I'm meant to operate. But it was the investment in coaching, investment in therapy, investing with healers that really reflected back to me, the parts of me that weren't safe with what I wanted to create, which is a movement, right? It's a movement that's going to change this planet. I didn't become an entrepreneur to make, enough money to pay my bills. Like, I actually became an entrepreneur because I'm here to create a movement that's going to change this planet. And in that comes the first truth, is that I'm not for everyone. That truth freed me. And I can't even describe how free I felt when I realized that, because the old me really wanted to be for everyone, right? I take everyone on this journey. I want to help you. I'm going to do everything to make sure that you feel chosen, because I never felt chosen. But in actuality, what I had to do is go back and heal my inner child that wanted to be chosen. I had to choose me. And when I shifted that, it shifted my magnetism. And I realized that I'm calling in the most amazing ladies, that I am a match for everyone. Everyone who comes in is a match for me, and they're ready for real transformation. And if you're not, you're going to be repelled by my energy, right? I repel misaligned clients. And it is so beautiful to notice it in real time, y'all. Real time. This happened at a conference recently that I was at, where one of my dear friends was introducing me. There was lots of introductions. I really have a most amazing circle of people, because when we think of somebody, like in terms of like if I'm doing a reading or if I'm in grief counseling and something comes up, and a practitioner or a friend of mine pops into my head because they have an area of expertise that you are struggling with, I will say you need to go talk to them. I'll send you their website, I'll send you their page. I'm like, book with them and then come back and see me. And then we can move forward, because there's certain things, my skill set, I don't do it all. I know despite my bio and resume, you might think I do. I don't do it all. Right. So there's certain people I send to for healing, for coaching, for past life regression, for clearing blocks in the subconscious, like, or acupuncture or massage to move stuff out of the body. Like, I have a wonderful group of people that I am connected to that are so talented that their area of expertise gets to be a referral network for me. And when that happens, it's also reciprocated, right? Because people will send people to me because they're like, oh, you definitely need Sheetal. I can hear you have some blocks. And so somebody introduced a beautiful young lady who's got businesses, and I could see right away she was very resistant. And she's like, I wanna book with you. And I was like, yes, please do. You know what? My calendar is super full, but email me and I'll get you into my calendar. I do hold back dates for my membership. I have a couple more dates at the time. I don't have any more dates for 2025 left in my calendar, but at the time I was like, I can don't think that my calendar is telling you how full, like that I don't have anything available. I do, but you have to email me because the calendar kind of looks at my day, if you will. And if I have clients booked in there, there's sort of blocks that it will not show availability. So it's just kind of a calendar glitch kind of thing, which is fine because it always fills. Like there's my calendar is always full. So I book about 3 to 4 months in advance, which is abundance as well. I'm so grateful. So I said to this young lady, I said, if you want to book in with me, definitely message me. And I told her my rate, so I don't want any surprises, anyone to feel like, oh, what's that? Like all my prices are published on my website, on my booking links. You can see what I charge. I'm not hiding nothing. I'm very proud of my pricing. I know I get you results, and that's that. And I could tell in that moment she was not going to book with me, which is fine, right? Again, it's so freeing because I know she's not ready, right? I've had so many people reach out and say, I need to book with you. I know these blocks are coming up for me. It's like, perfect. When you're ready to book, let me know. I'll send you dates. And sometimes we'll get to the dates. I'll send them an email of dates that I have available and I won't hear anything back. And I just smile because I know that that's the universe also saying they're not ready, right? And then someone will come along and book all those dates, right? All the availability that I just sent to someone, they will all go because someone's like, I'm ready. I want to book a 12 session package. Here's my card. I want these dates. Let's go. And it'll go so fast. And all of the dates just went like within a week after the conference, all of my dates for 2025 went. And I knew it would. I know that the universe is always bringing people my way, which is a subcategory to this as well, right? So I repel misaligned clients and it protects them and me so that the right people can get those dates and times in my calendar. So it's a freeing thing that I'm not for everybody. And those spots, those places that I'm supposed to be helping people are going to be taken up by the right and perfect people. And I just have to keep shining my light and showing up and talking about the things that are on my heart, like this podcast. And the right people find me. Truth that has freed me. Freed me. The second truth that has freed me is this is all information and data. Every time I do a launch, every time I put something new out, every time I offer a new service, right? And if it doesn't book or it kind of flops or I'm not getting any kind of traction on it, it just is telling me that there is something else here, right? Like it's not personal. These are not failures. What is FAIL? It's first attempt in learning. All of these launches, I've done so many pivots and they're just clarity generators. Like I just get clarity from everything that I do. And this is, we call it third line in human design, which is the trial and error. Business is third line. We use the data to refine our purpose, our message, or offerings to show where did we go wrong, perhaps. And one of the things that I see often in business, often, is that when something doesn't go right, people go back to the strategy, right? Did my marketing hit right? Did my messaging hit right? Was I calling in the right client? I actually like to go back to the energy. And I just had this with a client where we're working together on reframing an experience of the past that has just been hurting her heart. And when I look back and I asked her, before you went into this experience, it was a business experience, what was your intention? And she thought about it. So even in the way that she thought about it, I knew that she didn't have it mindfully in her mind. Whenever you start anything new, I literally will pull a chart on the astrology of the energy of the moment, and I will set a very clear intention of what I want to receive from this experience. So when we look back and she told me the intention that she likely set at that time, I said, well, you got what you wanted. She wanted to have an experience. She got the experience. Nowhere in her intention was it a profitable one Was it one that was going to get her her dreams because she was scared to claim her dream even in that moment when I asked her? And so when we went back to the intention that created the entire experience, she said, "Here's my intention." And I said, "Well, you got it then, didn't you?" So based on the fact that this was your intention, you were very successful. And she stopped and looked at me. She's like, "Dang it, I should have been more clear in my intention." It's like, yes, this is how powerful we are. We don't even realize when we set an intention, we set out our brain, the universe, energy sets out to create that and get it for us. So if you're not setting a very clear intention at the beginning of whatever you're doing, you're going to get random. And you can't be sad about that because you got random. That's what you wanted. You got it. So being so specific. So anytime where, it's all just data is my number two truth. And I does not mean anything about me. Man, does it not mean anything about me. It's so great. When something doesn't land, let's say a post. I just taught a human design and social media course. And one of the ladies messaged me and she's like, I'm just so frustrated because when I put out a post, I don't get any feedback. I don't get any engagement in it. And I said, "Well, what's your intention when you set out the post?" She's like, "What?" I said, "What's your intention when you set out the post? Is your intention to get feedback and connection?" She's like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, your posts don't have a call to action on any of your posts. And when I'm looking at your post, it's an educational post. You're just talking about information. You're not actually like engaging with me as a reader. I want to know something about me." Right? We are inherently very self centered beings, right? When I put something out, I want you to be like, "Oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, I have that." Or, "Oh, I've never thought about it in that way." I want to shift your mind. I want to open your mind up to possibilities, right? If you're just talking about your modalities, can you imagine if I just educated you on hypnotherapy? How boring would my would my post be? Did you know I'm a certified therapeutic hypnotherapist? Yeah, I actually have had so many hypnotherapy courses, and I have some that are available for sale if you want to buy them. But it's really like I find the magic in doing them in real time because then I can ask you questions and then we can digest things because we get into your subconscious that way. So, but if I just talked about the tool, how boring is that? It's actually talking about what it is that it's solving for you. What's the problem you're having on the other side of this that I have the solution for? So it's all data, right? If you think that it's about me and that this post, no one likes me because no one liked my post, oof, now we've got an identity issue because your business is not you. A business is a reflection of you. So when no one is listening to you, do you have an inner child issue about being seen and heard? I know her answer is yes. So she's got to heal that inner child issue if she wants to be seen or heard on social media. When you heal that, the energetics of your post, you think it's about algorithm? It is not. It is about energy. And if your energy is one where it's anxious attachment and you want people to see you and you feel your self worth is wrapped up in people liking your post or how many followers you have on social media, you're going to be reflected back to as a hurt little girl because that's not the point of this. This point of this is to be of service. So you need to go back and heal your inner child. And I want to do a program around that because combining the psychology with the spirituality, with the body somatics, that is when we move the needle for women in all things, at home, in a job, in a professional, in a business setting. That is where we really move the needle. Because if a part of you doesn't feel safe to be seen, or she's looking for acknowledgement, like accolades, worth, value, then you're going to be very disappointed because that's not what this is about. This is about being of service and helping other people feel those things. So, truth number three that really freed me, that actually made my business just soar, which was I was built to stand out. And when I understood that truth, everything changed for me. It literally happened in about 2020 because I was still trying to fit in, right? All my certifications, I'm legitimate. I'm just like everyone else in this field. I'm really not. I'm the wooiest person you'll probably ever meet, but with such grounded practical strategies that it makes sense. It makes sense, right? When I go to business conferences and the women, one of my coaches right now is someone that always says, "Well, I'm not wooey. You know what? Like, I don't want you to think that I'm into all this wooey nonsense." And I was like, "What's wrong with that? Like, I'm into wooey nonsense. Like, what is wooey nonsense? Like, why are you labeling that?" You can tell I'm getting a little fired up by it. I am the most wooey person because we're talking about energy when we talk about woo, right? It's energy. Energy is science. So why is that wooey? When we really talk about energy and astrophysics and also the metaphysics of things, we it makes sense that you live in a world of energy, and what you think you create, and that which you are, you attract into your world. Every living thing that has an energetic field is a magnet. That is not woo, that's science. Right. And it's so wild when people think of this stuff as like, oh, that's wooey, or, people try to shame me on social media because I'm a psychic medium. Like, great, so original. Okay. It's like trying to shame me for having dark hair. Great. That's amazing. I think you just need to go and heal yourself because I love my dark hair. I'm not worried about it at all. I was built to stand out. And I'm going to tell you this, and I want you to lean in and really hear this. So are you. So are you. We are all different. This is why I love human design, because it's called the science of differentiation. You are not like anyone else on this planet. Your mix of characteristics, your experiences, the way your soul is designed, your ancestral lineage, the trauma that you've inherited through your family, the way you were brought up with beliefs and identities. There will be no one else like you in the history of this planet, in the past or in the future, because this timeline is now. There is no other timeline that's going to be like this one, that has these influences, that has this energy coming onto this planet. This combination of things is unique to you. And we are so always trying to shrink, to fit in, to minimize the parts of us that we think people are going to not like. Why? Who did you learn that from? Your mother? Well, she learned it from her mother and her mother and her mother, because when we stand out, we're not part of the tribe. When we're not like anyone else, our mind's like, oh, we're comparing ourselves. I don't look like anybody. I don't feel like anybody here. Oof. Growing up in a very Caucasian city, in a very Caucasian province, I was so stood out, right? I'm first generation Canadian. My mom's from Malaysia. My dad's from India. I My mom cut my hair until I was in grade 6. My mom sewed my clothes as well, and I had a lot of, bargain basement clothing and stuff. All great clothes, all, like, some of them secondhand and things like that, but clean, everything. We had food on the table. My dad's a chef. Like, food was life for us. And yet I couldn't have felt more outsider. Like, I was such an outsider. All of the boys liked all of these girls that were blonde and blue eyed. And I remember watching Baywatch as a kid and wishing that I looked like Pamela Anderson. And when I did my own inner child healing, I had to go back to that little girl and show her a mirror, show her who I am and what I look like now. And she was stunned. She's like, "Oh my God, we're so pretty." It's like, yes, we are. We are. We don't have to wish that we look like somebody else, because we are not them and they are not us. They don't have a good life. They don't have everything figured out. I mean, everyone has, a good life, but we almost covet what we think is better than what we have, but she didn't. If you look at Pamela Anderson, she went through a rough life trying to sort out herself. I think she's really come into herself. I love her now too, because she's just really come into herself and she's just unwavering in her truths, which I just love that. She's a trailblazer in her own right. So, those parts of us where we're shrinking or we think we have to be like somebody else, that is not truth. That is the mind. That is a belief. That is a scarcity set, a mindset, right? That is really taking you out of your special sauce. And, blending in is actually a misalignment. It's not who we are. We are being called into our gifts and talents. We are here by divine design to be so unique. We are not like everyone else. I'm not like everyone else. And when I was able to step up onto a stage and say that, it was really interesting how many people came up to me and went, "I've never seen anyone like you." And I was like, "Me too. You know what? I'm truly a trailblazer. And so are you." you have gifts and talents too that are like anyone else. To be a first generation Canadian with unconventional spiritual and, skill sets, like all of these things together, there's no one like me and there's no one going to ever be like me. And I don't know what in the end, what my done life is going to look like, but the role of standing out is part of my highest mission. It actually serves my mission to acknowledge that, to step into that, and to be comfortable in that, right? To be comfortable in that because I get to lead places that there's no one else like me. So, and even if there was another East Indian grief support counselor, psychic medium, professional astrologer, human design business coach, law of attraction coach, all the things, she still wouldn't be me. She would be her own person, and the people who would be attracted to her would be hers. So it freed me to like throw off the shackles of competition. Like there is no such thing in competition in my world. And it's interesting because when I meet somebody who's doing something that's similar to me, I can feel within me, oh, she thinks she's and I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. Anyone can be this. No one is, I don't have the moratorium on being a psychic medium, right? I always think though, and this is my Virgo ness coming out, a little judgy Von Judgerson. I'm going to step off the spiritual bus for a moment. Is that if you're not qualified and you start to put out stuff saying that you're qualified, it drives me a little batty because I worked so hard to be qualified, to be certified. And where I see this, especially recently, and this has come up as a trigger, so it's something I'm working on. A trigger is just an unmet need. It's an activation of a past you that needs a little healing, right? It needs a lot of healing. And the activation was that someone was offering a psychic mediumship group thing where you could come in and be a psychic, but they are not psychics. They don't call themselves psychic. They don't call themselves a channel. They don't call themselves any of that stuff. The titles they use are none of those things. But then they wanted to step in and capitalize on those gifts and talents and say that they are so that they can create this. Like it was, I think for me, that felt like predatory, actually, to be honest. And I know I'm projecting that because I'm a protector of people. Also, that I guess, what comes back is, as I say, what would love say to kind of soothe that part of me? And love would say that buyer has to beware, right? Who's going to be attracted to that is going to get the experience that they're going to get an experience of. And then they're going to step into a workshop or something that is actually run by a psychic medium who does this work full time and understands what it is to be a channel, to be a psychic medium, so that we can hold safe space. So I'm always just like, all right, you know what? Whoever's called into that, blessing be, like, please protect them and allow whatever experience needs to be manifested so that it can shift for them, because I have to just trust the universe. I can't be the police, the psychic medium police, but I really want to be, right? The Virgo police is so loud. It's so loud, but it is not my job to be the police. I have to continue to remind myself that. And there's plenty of space for all of us. I have a huge community of psychic mediums that I refer to, that I actually attend their classes. I send people to them. There is enough for everyone. There is really not a scarcity bone in my body. There is no competition, and that freed me. Truth number 4 is when I let go and allow in flow, everything shifts. And I really noticed this last year. So it's what kind of started my year of no. And I'm now out of my year of no into a new year, a new cycle, which is my 1 year in my astrology and in my numerology for my birth year. And so but my year of no that kind of ended around my birthday of 2025, but started on in 2024, September, which is my birthday month. And that energy of no really helped me to step back, because I started to feel like I was holding on like so tight to my dreams, and I wanted it so bad. And I'm gonna tell you, well, I'll say at the end what my big dream is, but to hold on to that big dream and how it's going to manifest and what's going to look like and how it's going to come together and all the things, that I almost sort of felt like I was clutching onto it and it was trying to run away from me. And as soon as I just let go, almost envision like I'm letting go and I'm falling back from a ladder, and spirit caught me. Like you really had to have faith in my year of no, that I had to have faith. I worked a lot less. I took more time off. I really sat with decisions before I said yes. I didn't I saw people one on one. I was actually quite social in my year of no, but I said no to bigger things, and I really listened. Like, there was an event that was coming up that I really was like, should I go to this thing? Should I? I don't know. I don't know if I should attend it. And I kept getting, it's not for you, Sheetal. And I was like, oh, but like all these people that I love are going to be there, and people that I like really like hanging out with. And sometimes I'll just go to things because I like to hang out with the people. And I was like, a no, Sheetal, you're not meant to be there. And I was like, okay, okay. And I had to sit on it. I even had it in my calendar, that it was going to be on this date. And I was watching. It's like you say no to this party, but then you drive by to see how many people at the party. It was almost like that. I had it on my calendar, but then it filled because there was just a lot of demand. And I'm like, well, why am I even holding this date? I'm not going to this event. So I started to fill it with clients. And then before I knew it, the date had passed. I didn't even realize it because I'd filled it with my calendar, and I took it out of my calendar. And I messaged a friend and I said, hey, did this event already happen? Because like I didn't see anything about it. And she said, no, it actually was canceled. Amazing, right? Like, it's just, that's when you build your book of evidence. If you've listened to me on previous podcasts or you've taken any classes with me, I always say, build your book of evidence that your intuition is working, that your skills are showing themselves to you. And this was an evidence for me that I was like, okay, yeah, spirit has said no. My mind, though, had FOMO. And I was like, no, I needed to sit with that. I need to let go of all these shoulds. And what's meant for me will always find me. It's going to be such a hell yes that I can't miss it. And I need to wait because of my human design. This also changed my life, is that I have an emotional authority, which means I have to wait for the emotional waves to pass before I say yes or no. So I cannot say yes on an emotional high, like, oh my God, it's an F yes, right? Everything's an F yes with a Sagittarius moon. Like, I'm excited about everything. And that has cost me so much money and time and exhaustion. Like, I'm like, no more, no more. Because I was saying yes on the emotional high. That's a bad thing. No. And then you can't say no on an emotional low. So if somebody pisses me off and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, that's not the time to say no. I have to wait till it's a neutral so that it doesn't have, it's neutral. I don't feel a pull either way. And it feels, that point, does it still make sense? And if I can say yes in that, then it always pays me off. I've never said no to anything I've regretted, to be honest, ever. Right. So the mind is just, it just plays so many games for you, and you get to choose something else. So making space in my calendar created all this opportunity for things to come in and fall into my calendar so easily, right? Podcast interviews and appearances and stage, like, it was just amazing. There was such a huge difference in my life between forcing outcomes and just aligning energetically, just allowing things to fall into my lap for people to ask me things, and I can just sit with it and say yes or no. It was the most aligned opportunities just came my way, and it just has freed me. Ease really does begin with replacing pressure with ease and flow. And I still have to do the work. It doesn't mean that I don't have to show up and do my taxes, but it is my mission, my values, and my goals all working together that feels aligned. And then my final truth is everything I have lived prepared me for this chapter. And I kind of started out, that with this, that my corporate experience, my work from home for years, my little red wagon, it really prepared me for everything that I've come through. Like, even events, I had to plan. I've planned events. I have my checklist for everything. It's about discipline, structure, and the way that I communicate have become fundamental skills and tools that I use in entrepreneurship. Like, these are timeless business practices that continue to play out, right? Nothing in my past was wasted. And as I was talking to my girlfriend, who's an amazing coach and clinical hypnotherapist now, we were just talking about that everything has set her up for the success now. And when you look back, the universe was always lining me up for this. Every job, every disappointment, every hard thing I went through has lined me up to be this now. I mean, if you had asked me especially in my teens, when I saw my parents slogging it out with their businesses, that I was going to be an entrepreneur, I would have told you to shut up. I would have been like, nope, do not curse me with that. But as my gifts started to come in, I almost had to sit with, like, it took me a few years to become okay with being an entrepreneur, because I was like, I don't want that life. I want security. I want certainty. And you know what? There's no such thing. Even as a job, even if you have a career job somewhere, you're employed with someone else is making the decisions for you. So, one of the things I know to be true is, in this era that we are stepping into, self education is going to be huge. Right. I think post-secondary education is so, so expensive. And there are jobs that are being created now and will be created in the next 10 to 20 years that do not exist in this moment in time. And so we know the unconventional path is the path. Whatever that looks like to you. So I think there's going to be more and more women stepping into the side hustle, stepping into entrepreneurship, stepping into creating, you know, epic empires that are going to change this planet. Because again, as I mentioned, money in the hands of women change the world. And I really feel that. So my big goal, and this freed me actually saying this out loud as well, which is so interesting. This came up. I was at this conference. This is why I love conferences, because they just like change. They're the right ones. The right ones change you. And we had to declare it to the table what our big dream was. What a big dream. And I do this with clients, and I do this when I'm guest speaking in masterminds or other people's groups, because then I like to then work within the blocks to that, or what is your big dream, and then what's the thing holding you back from it? Because if you didn't have anything holding you back from it, you would already have it. You would already have it. That's the truth, right? So my big dream, and it was like, it's like I had been holding it in my heart for such a long time, and it had been incubating and incubating. And for me to say it out loud, to birth it to the world, to give that, like, it's almost like it sent a trajectory out into the universe with it that like rippled through my timeline. And my big dream, I said this to the table too, so I know some of you are going to be listening, is that to impact 1 million, at least 1 million women, to step into their intuition and their gifts, to live a life of purpose, and to raise the consciousness of this planet. So, whether it's in their families, it's in their communities, or it's in the world, when you as women step into their intuition, trust themselves above everything else, we elevate consciousness and we elevate together. This is the rise of the divine feminine. This is bringing back community, cooperation, intuition, emotions as intelligence, not weakness, to really the woman is so powerful, but we have been silenced, we have been subjugated, and no more. We're erased in history, erased in texts of religious texts. And I want to bring back that wisdom and knowledge. I 100% know I lived at a time when the divine feminine was reigning, was the high, and then the masculine came in and toppled that. And I think this is why I'm here now, to help that rise come back again. It's not going to end with me. I think I'm only the pathway that others, all this younger generation, man, they're so powerful, this younger generation. They're so wise. They're asking things that we never asked until we were in our 20s. If you have any children, like, you listen to these little humans, they're just so beyond their time. They're here to change this world. But my generation, you are here to create the pathway for them to do that. And this is my mission. 1 million women. I know I'm going to do it in my lifetime, not after. And I said that purposely, in my lifetime, not afterwards, because that can happen too. It can ripple out from my passing. But I want that to be as part of my like now lineage. And it starts now. My word of the year has dropped in when I was having dinner with a dear friend. And I'm not going to reveal it here, because I do want to talk about word of the year and how that all operates. I just had a huge epiphany about that today. But I'm going to tell you, like, the future is juicy, y'all. Like, just hang on to your hats, because it's about to get so good. Thank you for being here. You are part of my mission, as I am part of your mission too, whether you know it or not. I'm excited to cheer you on into your greatness, to help you to step into your intuition and trust yourself above everyone else. to know that what you decide is true and right for you. When something doesn't feel right, trust it. When something feels like, no, I need to go this path, it might not make sense to anyone else. That's okay. Your dreams and desires don't make sense to anyone else because they weren't given to them, they were given to you. So shine on, beautiful souls. I will see you next week. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Story of Spirit podcast. I hope you have found inspiration, support, and practical insights to help you align with your soul-led purpose and live a life that sets your soul on fire. If you have enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, and share it with a friend. Your support helps us to reach more listeners and continues to provide valuable content. I sincerely appreciate every share, and I know it is how most people find me. It is because caring people like you have shared me with them at the right and perfect time. For more resources, insights, and to connect with our community, please visit us at www.sheetalstory.com and follow us on Instagram at sheetalstory. Remember, your journey to a more aligned and vibrant life is just the beginning, and I am here to support you every step of the way. Until next time, stay aligned, stay inspired, and keep shining your beautiful light. This is Sheetal Story, signing off from the Story of Spirit podcast. Here's the legalese that's required by our lawyers. This podcast and the YouTube channel represents the opinions of Sheetal Story and her guests to the show. The content should not be taken as medical, psychological, or financial advice. This series is informational and entertainment purposes only. Because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional, your mental health dream team, your financial advisor, or anyone else that's an expert in the field in where you are thinking of making big choices in your life.